Three things radio galaxies help do, and I'm not really proud of this. I'm just kind of thrown back, taken aback by it, because it's very simple to understand, and just the way that history played out made it to where the actual observations that we needed to understand the universe with were never made. Meaning, there was rainy day conjecture made long before the actual observations were made that can actually explain what the universe is actually doing. It's funny. There's a saying, I don't know how it goes. The scientists and the astronomers, they already have an explanation for something before the discovery is made. And that's in three different aspects. I'm going to overview here real quick. Hi, Celeste. Radio galaxies, number one, show us that galaxies are born now inside of the universe and that the Big Bang never happened. The Big Bang creationists want to tell you that all the galaxies formed at exactly the same time in some fictional explosion 13.7 billion years ago. That's fantasy. It's creationism, basically disguised as science. It's always just been creationism. The very idea itself was invented by a Catholic priest called the primeval Adam. It's creationism. I don't know why scientists don't realize that. Two, radio galaxies show that black holes are nonsense, because the astronomers, they say, well, the black hole accretion disk ejects matter out. Well, black holes are supposed to be sucking matter in. Why are there two giant jets coming out of the center of the AGN, which is the active galactic nuclei? Why is that happening? Black holes are supposed to be sucking in matter, not ejecting it in huge quantities, forming entire galaxies. That's the complete reverse of what the black hole theory says is true. And number three, and this is another big one, remember back in the 1920s and 1930s, I'm not saying you guys should remember this, but maybe there are guys old enough to have lived back then. They invented the fusion model of stars to force the sun to be as old as the earth, because they realized that the earth is really old, and they said, well, the sun, it also has to be as old as the earth, so they didn't have a method for making the sun as old as the earth, so they invented the fusion model of stars. But we all know better. Young stars like the sun are tens of millions of years old, and objects, very old stars like the earth, are billions of years old. So they made a big mistake by placing fusion inside of stars. And active galactic nuclei, or AGNs, also known as radio galaxies, those show that the actual process of element creation happens in the centers of galaxies, long before a star is even born. That's where the actual fusion processes occur as well. And here's the real kicker. It's where the velocities of the objects, or the velocity of these jets, is fast enough to where they can cause matter to fuse together and make huge explosive events occur. And that's where fusion is actually taking place inside of these jets to create the stars. And without further ado, this is paper number 62. I had originally put this paper on Vixar back in 2012. It's 2020 now, so over 8 years ago I've known about this. I don't mean to brag or anything, but it's common knowledge to me, and still astronomers, they still struggle because they have to push the fusion model of stars, the Big Bang creationism, and the black hole stuff. And these radio galaxies, they debase all of that and make it nonsense. But here they are, radio galaxies. Hercules A, you guys remember this one from an earlier talk. There's a birthing galaxy. 3C296, I have here, this is a new galaxy. It's growing new arms. Look at those arms growing. It's a baby galaxy growing new arms. Cygnus A, it's also growing new arms. Look at Cygnus A. Absolutely incredible. NGC 326 is growing and forming new spiral arms. Check it out. It's ejecting matter from the center and it's starting to spiral. The material's starting to spiral. Look at that. It's birthing galaxy. B1545321. It's a very unique name. We'll call him Bob. Bob. There's Bob. Bob is forming new arms, new jets. M87. There's a jet coming out of M87. Of course, there's another jet going this direction, but for some reason they just want to focus on that one. It continues. Quasar 3C175. Quasi-stellar object. Here's it. Forming new arms. It's very young, very newborn galaxy. 3C457. There's another one. 4C14.11. That one's a bit faint, but you see the telltale signals of a galaxy forming its new arms, or the material that it's going to form the new arms with. 3C390.3. There's one. That's really cool looking. There's another one, which you got 3C449. I have here written, this is a birthing galaxy, no Big Bang out of nothing is required. Because back in 2011, 2012, I realized the Big Bang is also nonsense. You can see birthing galaxies forming right inside the universe. Oh, Crab Pulsar. Baz knows about this. I had he helped me make another video explaining how I believe a pulsar is formed and how a pulsar becomes an entire galaxy. I know it's a lot to take in, but I sincerely believe that a pulsar is something to do with galaxy birth and quasar formation. But as well, it branches off. So you have a pulsar, and then if it has certain properties, it becomes a star instead as it expands into a white dwarf. So there's two paths for a pulsar. It's very strange. I'm not too sure. I don't have that worked out, but basically it's like, I would say it's more like genetic information. You have two very similar embryos. They look very similar, but as the embryos grow up, one becomes a lizard and another becomes an elephant, even though they look very similar. It's basically the same difference. There's some type of information there inside of the pulsar that says, well, this is going to become a star, or this is going to become an entire galaxy. So differentiating the two is definitely a new theory to work on in the future. Got some more pictures of baby galaxies here. I know you guys like baby galaxies. Quasar 3C219. That one's absolutely phenomenal looking. Look at that. Woo. Gorgeous. Abel 400. This is two galaxies creating material next to each other. It's a pair of young galaxies that are forming arms. So here's a pair of two galaxies next to each other. You see those little dots in the center. They're right next to each other. It's pretty cool. Abel 400. Quasar 3C215. This one's creating spiral arms as two. It's looks kind of weird, wonky looking. There might be two galaxies in there forming. And this is one of my favorite pictures, Radio Galaxy 3C288. I have here written, it is quite beautiful and very damaging to the Big Bang religion. Yeah, I think Big Bang is creationism disguised as science. So I don't know if you guys know that that's what that actually is, but that's what I think Big Bang is. But this one sort of does away with Big Bang. Look at those giant lobes, and you notice how they're starting to spin. You see how there's like it looks like it's trailing. Now it's not face on. It's not like you're looking at it as if it's completely flat like this, you know, instead of this like this. You kind of gotta look at it as this bottom portion is sticking a little bit further towards you, and this top portion is going a little bit towards the back. So it's kind of like, it's kind of angled a little bit. But yeah, it's going to take astronomers a little while to realize that they've made huge mistakes in theory. And one of the closest ones you can see with an amateur telescope is the NGC 5128, also known as Centaurus A. This is a brand new galaxy as well. It's much more developed than the younger style galaxies. It's creating new matter and it's spinning up, and it's quite phenomenal of an object. And this is Quasar 3C334. It's got a little while to go before it gets developed. Anyways, thought I'd share the baby galaxy stuff with you guys. Hopefully we get a more accurate picture of the universe being taught by astronomers, but from what I see, they're lost. They don't know what they're doing. Hopefully some astronomers can see this and do an about face and realize that they've been misled to believe in Big Bang and black holes and fusion model stars and all that junk. Hopefully all that goes away. But I wouldn't expect astronomers to change their ways for the next 3 or 4 decades. It takes a lot of time. All right, guys, take it easy.